Board of Supervisors, I don't really care, but it's just a little pot of money for things of that nature.
And that's kind of two different things, but whatever in your deliberations in terms of giving direction, we can go with that. Of course, you have to look at what's a legal expenditure.
To the CEO.
We are sympathetic to your concerns, but we do have to be careful about a gift of public funds. Our office included, just like the clerk of the board, when somebody is sick or ill, we take a donation up among people in the office and do pay for it. It is not appropriate to spend public funds for purposes of flowers for somebody, unfortunately. And we do have a travel policy, and we do have a reimbursement policies through the auditor's office. And there are many things that are not reimbursable for inviting people in from other areas. Myself, I pay for lunches and breakfasts for visiting CEOs all the time. It's just part of the way our current policies work. So I think we have to be careful there that, about making any statement to the public that confuses that issue of what's allowed and what becomes a gift of public funds.
So let me get this straight. If I want to go from here to Sacramento to see some person in Sacramento, it's appropriate for me to charge travel to and from and meals and motel rooms and everything to go see that person. But if I call up and that person's willing to come to Mendocino County, it's inappropriate for me to buy him lunch, or for the public dollars to buy him. That team's, I think the policy needs to be changed, because first of all, that's going to save a lot of money, and it's going to bring them into our county. I think we need to look at the policy to reflect that.
Let me ask
I can spend $1,000 or more to go see somebody, but I can't spend $20 to buy them lunch if they come here. That's ridiculous.
I don't know if Meredith has any comments, but certainly I don't think any of us would disagree with you that in a normal business corporation model, if someone came to visit you as a courtesy, you would buy them lunch as you were negotiating business items. But I think it becomes an issue of how you manage it and who makes that judgment call. But let me defer to Meredith as to exactly what the policy speaks to.
Current policy is that no, as Mr. Mitchell has stated, you can't buy somebody lunch and then expect to get reimbursed for it. It's the current policy doesn't allow it.
Well, that's my point. It's policy. It's not state law. We need to look at changing the policy.
I guess what I'd say is we certainly can look at that. That's somewhat of a separate issue from the budget, but we can look at it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, I think the policy issues aside, that is a separate discussion, but I don't believe that we hold rigidly to these supervisorial budgets. They have been more structured in the past, but in recent time they've been less structured. So I believe we should leave that money in, because we don't have hard and fast lines between supervisorial districts. We're going to have a new Board of Supervisors in January, yet we don't have new decision making with respect to their possible needs and expenditures. So I think that instead of, as it was formulated earlier in a sense, targeting Supervisor Pinch's budget, so to speak, it isn't really one line item. It is it's multiple line items within one budget. Entire Board of Supervisors. So I would recommend at this juncture that we leave it in, because there can be some flexibility within the given parameters. At this point, I think that we should leave it in and not, in a sense, downsize one supervisor's budget, because there may be other supervisors that have needs to travel for county business, be it CSAC, or whatever it is, and possibly the funding could run short. So I think that we ought to leave it in and then deal with the policy questions if they need to be addressed later.
Any other discussion from the remainder of the board? Okay.
So just to kind of finish up this discussion, although you as a board can deal with it, whatever direction all of you or a majority of you give on that, we will follow through on. I would say that our understanding is right now the budget is broken down by supervisor, and this money was specifically allocated for a specific trip, and there should be sufficient funds in the budget for the others. But it's however you wish to address it. We put it in at the direction of the board, and we will do whatever you want us to do with it. Moving on then. Yeah, okay. Moving on, funding for the Scout Lake feasibility study. We met with Roland Sanford at lunchtime, and he identified that of the carryover in the water agency, 25,000 of around 80,000 could be directed towards this project. The intention is that 125,000 be contributed from the redevelopment agency towards the feasibility study. It would not be able to pay for an actual project, but it can pay for a feasibility study or part of one that would accrue to the benefit of the redevelopment agency, is our understanding. And then 100,000 of it would be from the Mill Creek insurance funds that are going into the contingency fund. So we've identified